Now we're going to go to Mr. Mark Carter with Skyview's Beagles. Mark is a very looking at his Beagles online, I was very impressed because I run at probably a little bit faster dog than what Mark run. But when I seen his dogs lock on a rabbit, I said, wow, those are some rabbit dogs. I wouldn't mind watching those dogs in person run a rabbit. And me and Mark actually ended up talking on the phone several times, and I thought it would be a 2-minute conversation, but it ended up being probably an hour or two conversation. But he's an all-around good guy. I call him the YouTube superstar. If you ever have typed rabbit hunting with Beagles online, you have ran into Mark Carter's videos. I would say rabbit hunts for a living. Him and his brother, they rabbit hunts all the time. But we're going to welcome Mark Carter to the call. You on the call, Mark?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Welcome to the call, man. I know a lot of Beaglers out there excited about you being on the call, but you being the YouTube superstar, as I call you.
Nah, I don't know about that part.
Mark has I looked at a minute ago before we started the call, he has 2,980,269 views. That's a lot of views. He has almost 2,000 YouTube subscribers. He owns a super dog. Mark called him Easy Does It, which hopefully we're going to talk about on the call. But Mark, tell the Beagles a little bit about the style of dog you run, which is a different style than I run, but I really like it.
Just from hearing that conversation, we're probably at the total end of the spectrum there. For years, we ran the faster dogs, and I think I told you earlier, my brother ran the Branco dogs for about 10 years, and as we've gotten older, we've slowed down. And with the slower dogs, not so much line control is not what we're after, but we felt we were more consistent with the dogs. We lost less rabbits, and we were able to run in different conditions better. We've went to the bigger nose dogs, and I think when he was talking big nose dogs and what we're talking big nose dogs, we're probably talking in medium speed versus what we call medium speed. We're probably on a different scale there because of the style dogs you guys run. I would assume when he would see my dogs, he would call my dogs very slow dogs. I'd say there's probably quite a difference in what we consider medium speed. From what I gather on the boards and stuff, that's always a big debate. But right. Like I say, we've been on both ends of it. We've run all the styles of dogs. I'm one that believes when you run the type of nose that we run, I think he touched on that he liked a dog that didn't open until the rabbit was up. I've only had one dog in probably 7-8 years that did that. And mainly we felt the dog needed more nose. So probably for us, if they don't cold trail, they don't have enough nose to suit us. And you'll hear a lot of the phrases, big nose, dumb dog that doesn't know how to control. But we just feel like that everything we have will cold trail on cold, frosty ground. If you lived in the South, it wouldn't be an issue, I don't think. But up here in the north where we live on the cold, frosty mornings and stuff, we don't know of many dogs that don't cold trail, that have any kind of nose at all. We don't like it. We hate it as bad as anybody else, but we just feel like the rewards are just so overwhelming for the nose. I think you have seen my videos of the dogs running on blacktop and constantly up and down the railroad tracks and just in all kinds of terrible, terrible conditions, and that's why we've gone to that style dog. We'd love to own a dog that didn't cold trail, that was able to run in those conditions, but we've never found it. And with the breeding of Easy, we've gotten closer to it. She seems to have plenty of nose. She will cold trail, but not near as much as the other dogs. But there are times you can see that she does get beat because of nose. So it's such a fine line. If you could just get at the right point, I'm sure there is a place that you could have sufficient nose and still be able to run the rabbit. We've just never been able to find it.
And see, that's another thing when talking to Mark and Antonio, and really many Beaglers that have done it for a long time. That's one thing I like about Mark as well. You understand, are you willing to sacrifice this for that? You understand that, well, I want a dog with a little bit more nose, so sometimes I get cold trailing. And a lot of hunters, some hunters, never admit that, well, my dog cold trails a lot. Which, as you listen to Mark, it may not be a bad thing as long as you get other pluses for it. Now, tell us what makes Easy Does It so special. Like, when did you know he was going to be, or did you know as a pup that she was going to be that special?
Well, probably the best thing about her is my male dog Walker. He's, like I say, he's the only dog that I've owned in 10 years that didn't cold trail. And when he squeaked one time, the rabbit was up. He was natural deer-proof, which is a rare thing. About all of my dogs have had to be shocked off a deer. He was a natural retriever, and he always wanted to please me. So right off the bat, I bred Easy to my National Gun Dog Brace champion, Jenny, and she was just the opposite. She was born with a freaky nose. She's the one you see running up and down the blacktop roads, and just was no condition that she couldn't run under. But all at the same time, she was my dog that she was going to cold trail, and she was going to be hard-headed and stubborn. One of the few dogs I had to shock more than a couple times to get her stalked off a deer, and when she was out in the field, she was stubborn, but she could run a rabbit like nothing we've ever seen before. And she was just a handful all the time, but just an amazing dog. So when I bred the two, I took a lot of static from everybody. Why would I breed a dog that wasn't a field champion to a National Gun Dog Brace champion? I was supposed to go out and find one of the top stud dogs in the country, but in the back of my mind, I kept saying, I got a dog here at the house that I like as well as any dog I've ever seen in my life. Why do I want to go hunt for a stud dog when I've got one here that I dearly love? So against everybody else, I bred to my own dog, and I ended up with 6 pups that just, every one of them just turned out exactly what we wanted. We've bred in the past, and I always tell everybody we just suck at it. We'd be better off to just go buy pups from somebody. And this is the first time that we've really bred that I got half of what the male dog was and half of what the female was. So I took a little bit of the I took all the hard-headedness away from the female and took a little bit of that nose off of her and got Walker's brains. And Easy wanted to please me from day one. And I started her with the other dog that was a little stronger dog, a little more stubborn, and I must have got 1,000 phone calls of people wanting to buy her, but nobody noticed Easy. And my brother and I kind of laughed. She was a little slower starting and a little more careful. And the other dog, Sadie, she never had to learn how to run a rabbit. She was 13 weeks old, and she started, and she ran that rabbit like she was tied to it from day one.
Wow.
And with our experience, when dogs start out like that, 6 months later, it's a train wreck. They're always going to get stronger, and they're always going to get faster. So it was funny that everybody wanted to buy her. Of course, we didn't want to sell her. We wanted to give her a chance. But by the time she was 8 months old, she was way too much dog for us. It wasn't that she wasn't a quality dog, but she wasn't what we were looking for. She wanted on the front end, and we just don't keep front-end dogs because you'll hear people say, worst fault in the dog is mouth, and we just don't agree with that. We just think the worst fault in the dog is over-competitive, where a lot of people like the foot, and they want them charging to the front, and that's the quickest reason why we get rid of dogs. And I heard you talking about how you build a pack. And we don't put that much thought into it. We build dogs, and we look for dogs that are the independence the way he's talking, and we're looking for that big nose, and we're looking for a dog that's not over competitive. And if you can put a pack of them down, and we solo. That's the most important thing. They got to be able to jump a rabbit, and they got to be able to solo. We spend hours, if you look at my video. When we go to the club, we run them in a pack, we run them in a brace, we run them in a trio. But before the day's over, we're going to spend an hour or two solo on them if we have time. They'll get as much solo time as they will running time. So when I started Easy, she just took her time, and she was nice and easy, just smooth all the time. And she was never flashy, but she was just always in the right place all the time, and you just didn't see her make a lot of mistakes. That's what impressed me, that she was going to be a special dog. I knew she was never going to be able to run a rabbit like her mother could. Her mother was just always glued to the track. But I just never seen her make mistakes, and I loved that about her. And I finished her about a month ago, and she had 4 wins on her, and I didn't have her in that many trials. And the reason she finished was, and what I'm so proud of her is, that she had 2 wins in gun dog brace. She had a win in UBGF SPO pack trial, and she actually had a win in an Appalachian trial, which you guys probably aren't familiar with. They're a very, very conservative dog. So she proved to me that she could run with any style dog and still dominate, no matter what style dog she run with. So she's an excellent hunting dog, handles exceptionally well. She will retrieve a rabbit, so to me, she's pretty much an all-around hound.
That's good. Now,
nothing can run a rabbit that I've owned like her mother, but she's my best all-around hound.
And that's what I like about what you all run, just looking online at the videos. I have seen your Beagles lock onto a rabbit, and they just work that thing and work the track from the inside out. And what I found, even which surprised me some, just once I really got into beagling and create the website and the videos, it's such a broad spectrum of beaglers across the country that like different styles of dogs. Like some beaglers are like you, I do not want a dog that wants to front. I want a dog that just like the independence like Antonio has. But you all, some beaglers look for a dog that wants to front, that's more aggressive, and you you all look for.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. It's just running what you like and liking what you run.
What a guy likes. People that like speed are going to find our dogs boring as can be, and there's no problem with that.
Yeah. That's a good
the
point.
Appalachian people watch my dogs run, and they think they're entirely too rough. So we all have different, and I don't know how much you guys fool with the AKC, but their rule book, they leave the rule book loose enough, it's open to interpretation to where judges can play with the rule book enough to where we allow dogs. People complain about it, but I think it's what makes the sport great. It just means that people can have different styles of dogs, and if you have a quality dog, whether he's slow, fast, medium, or what he is, there's a place to trial that dog, but he's still got to be a quality dog.
Right.
And I think it's what makes the sport great.
Right.
The Midwest dogs are more of a style dog what you guys are running. And we're running gun dog brace, and then the UBGF's running pretty strong dogs, but they're all running under the same rule book.
I see.
It sounds kind of crazy, but, the rule book says the dogs must work the check inside out. What does that really mean? It gives you a lot of leadway.
Right.
Inside out means, does that mean that in 2 minutes that dog can be out there 40 yards, or does it mean he can be out there 100 yards?
Right. Good point. That's a good point.
Yeah. So that gives the judge, and the judges have to be advertised before the trial, and it's come down to the point now to where you have to know what judges you can run under and what judges you can't run under. And like I say, it upsets people, but I think it's what makes the sport great. If you go up into the upper part of PA or the deep south, you got to have a strong dog. But now if you run in the eastern part where we run, it's a lot less dog.
Now the weird part about that is the same way with I don't know about some of the other trials, but ARHA is the same way. Like if you run a certain dog in the deep south, you can run a certain type of dog, but out west they run a certain type of dog. Like,
don't you think terrain plays a big part of that too?
Yeah, the terrain makes a big difference in that.
You know, because I'll hear guys talk about liking speed, but the areas we run in, and I'm sure down where you guys are at, it's all thicket.
Right.
So how are you going to run fast if you're in thickets all day?
Right.
And if you don't have a dog that's willing to slow down, I mean, I could go out and see, just like I watch on the hair boards, I watch those hair dogs run, and they're really impressive because that's what they're built for. Those dogs are running speeds average. The guys kind of laugh at me. They'll ask me to post my GPS on there, and we really get a kick out of it because we'll hunt all day, and I turn mine on, and our speed's about 2 miles an hour average, and we'll usually in a day's hunt run about 12 miles. And then they'll post theirs. They'll run one rabbit 25 miles and average 10 to 12 miles an hour.
Wow.
And it's pretty hilarious to them and to me, and they're nice about it. They're not being smart about it because my sight chases are only 6 and 7 miles an hour.
Right.
And it's a totally different terrain. It's open, and a hare probably smells like a deer, and then those dogs probably are 16 inches tall. And I always tell those guys, you guys are running dogs, the breed of dogs you're running, their stamina is twice what our dogs are. You could probably run your dogs 5 days in a row and they would never wear down, where our dogs would run down, and then as you slow dogs down, you tend to lose hunt. So we have to work harder to find dogs and hunt than you guys do. We don't have that natural given ability to hunt the way the Norway dogs and the type of dogs, the Branco dogs. So we have to really be careful with our breedings and stuff. When we slow our dogs down, you tend to lose that fire in your dogs. So it's more difficult to find dogs that hunt, and like I say, we don't have near the stamina that your dogs have.
That's an interesting fact. And even I've just recently posted a video online where my dogs are running a rabbit, and you will see the first time they coming through, they're working the rabbit very, very slow. And if someone just stopped at that point, you would think, well, these are slow dogs. Now, then the video continues. Say, second time around, you see them coming through there, running really fast. But
I'm sure you've watched my videos enough to see that. I have a reputation of running a real slow dog, and then people come and run with me, and they're shocked because how are you going to videotape dogs running 6-7 miles an hour when they're in the woods and I can't run with them and do that. And people say, well, he edits a video. I don't think anybody wants me just pointing the camera in the woods and listening to the dogs run. I can do that, but I'm trying to entertain people with the video. So most of my dog work, you're seeing them work out of a check or see them work in tough conditions going down a road or something like that. So most people tend to think that that's how my dogs run. But if you watch enough of the videos, you see that they do pound the rabbit a lot.
Right, I've seen it. I actually been very impressed. Your pack was one of the first packs I've seen, but I would say a little bit slower than what I run personally. That I was like, wow, I like how these dogs run.
But you also have to understand that I don't show the part where they're out there cold trailing around and popping around, and I tell everybody, these dogs...
We never show the bad part about them. We just show the good.
Well, I show the whole thing, and I do show a lot of it, but I'm not going to put 90% of the bad and 10% of the good. And I make people where I don't cover it up, and I tell everybody, it is a trade-off. And we've heard a million guys say, well, I run a big nose dog and they don't cold trail. And I just assume they're talking about a different type nose than what we're talking about. Because you show me a dog like Jenny and these dogs that go down these railroad tracks and they go down blacktop roads and they're barking the whole way, you're never going to convince me that those dogs don't cold trail. I mean, if you got one, more power to you. We've been doing this for 30 years and I've never seen one.
Because what happens?
And like I say, if you like a fast dogs, I don't think you would enjoy our dogs. And I totally understand that. But I think we're way more consistent because we've run those dogs in the past. Before, on a good day, those dogs will just literally run out from under our dogs. But the problem we had, they just didn't have enough good days. They had to have good scent days, and you'll even see the guys post on the boards. They don't go out on this day because their dog can't smell the rabbit, and I hear them say if smoke's coming up out of the chimney or the dew point. Well, we don't make those excuses. We look around on them cold, frosty mornings and hope nobody's watching us. So it's just a different kind of problem.
Right. Well, that's the benefit, and that's the good part. One reason why I started this call is really so people can just see it's a lot of different styles of dogs out there, and you can't. One of the worst things you can do, and Antonio touched on this, is a little bit about you start getting so many different styles of dogs in your kennel. Like you have to stay consistent with the style of dog that you like. And keep searching for that.
You just can't do that. And that's when you were talking about that you try to build different dogs within your kennel. Maybe with the style dogs you guys are running, that would work. But for us, it would just be a train wreck. If you look at our dogs run, you'll see they're all pretty much the same exact style. And you'll see one of them get to check and go with it, and then you see the others slot in until that one on the front makes a mistake, and then the next one takes over, and every time they come through, you see a different dog. That's what we want. We want them all we want them to have a competitive edge, but we don't want them to have to run on the front all the time. We don't want just one dog controlling the front and another one slotting in here. We expect whatever dog gets a check, and we don't want that dog shooting in front of them until the other dog makes a mistake.
Good point. That's a good point. Well, you all have heard a lot from Antonio and Mark tonight, so we're going to open the line back up. Anybody may have a question or comment. If you have a question or comment, press *6 at this time. If you have a question or comment, press *6. Again, if you have a question or comment, press *6, and that will put you in the queue, and you can ask your question or make your comment. One more time, if you have a question or comment, press *6, and that will put you in the queue, and you can ask your question or make your comment. While someone is getting in the queue, I have another question for you, Mark. Are you planning on breeding Easy? Easy does it?
I say I do plan on breeding her probably this summer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that will be nice. I'm pretty sure a lot of guys around the country will want a pup out of Easy, but I believe, as Mark told me once before, he already has a waiting list of his friends and buddies and family members that.
Yeah, I haven't sold a pup. The problem is I have several buddies that hunt with me, and I've probably got 8 or 10 guys in the Beagle Club with me that I've always had to promise pups out. Then my brother that hunts with me, so I haven't sold a pup. I give them out to those guys, and they're friends of mine. So by the time the litter is out there, they're already spoken for, and I hate it because guys beg me to sell them pups, and I'm just not able to do it because of my friends and stuff.
Oh, okay. We have one caller.
Breeding dogs is not very profitable for me.
Okay. We have one caller in the queue. Caller phone number ending in 6175. You are now able to talk. Call her phone number ending in 6175.
Mr. Mark, this is Justin Sykes. I was wondering, I had watched a lot of your videos. What is, you had talked about Easy's mother. What was her name again? And tell us a little about her running style. Was it similar to Easy's? Or I know you said she just lock onto a rabbit and run it, but I mean, I don't know if you had any. Did you have some videos on YouTube of her?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you've watched any of the videos, you should have seen her run with Easy a million times. Probably have as much video on Jenny as anybody.
So it's Jenny.
We called her Jenny all the time. Skyview's Jenny. Are you familiar with her?
It hadn't been long that she passed, right?
Yes, she passed last year. She was 7 years old.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
I actually have a video that she was a Derby and her sister was a Derby. Her name was Anita Wynn. Nita. We had purchased them from Fay Roach in Indiana. That's how we got started with that bloodline, because we had, are you familiar with the train breeding?
As in A-train or?
No, it's just train. That's probably a different bloodline you're thinking of. Anyway, we had a train dog directly out of train. Those dogs had grit and hunt that was just, and we lost that dog. She was 13 years old and still just hunted right up till the day she died. No question, the best hunting dog we ever had. And we just thought, well, we need to get back to that bloodline. So Fay Roach had Woodside Platinum Plus. And these are all AKC bred dogs that run in SPO trials and gun dog brace trials. So we went down there and we purchased those two dogs, and we were the kind of guys that just said, we can't tolerate that cold trail. We can't tolerate it. But then we would go to these trials in July and August, and our dogs just couldn't smell the rabbit, and we were just getting beat by nose. And we just decided we had to try something different. And then on the female side, it's woods chopper, which is a lot of shorts breeding. So we got started with these dogs, and when I started with Jenny, she was so mouthy as a pup, and I just kept thinking, I can't keep this dog. And my brother kept saying, you can't get rid of that dog. He said, she just runs the rabbit no matter what kind of condition you put her in. So we kept her, and she just kept cleaning up and cleaning up. But I have a video, if you get a chance. It says... It should say Skyview's Beagles, we can't do any better than this. And it's Jenny and Nita. And they run for 10 minutes, and, I mean, they just pound the rabbit, and they just trade back and forth, and they're a year old. They just turned a year old. And it shows people that they're not slow like everybody thought they were.
Right.
That at a year old, they could just hammer a rabbit. But if you look, you'll see her run on ice. You'll see her go across ponds. There's videos of her going across blacktop roads. There was just no condition she couldn't run in. But like I say, all at the same time, you put her down on a cold, frosty morning, she would just punish you.
Right.
She won 2 trials to where if they hadn't have seen the rabbit, they would have picked her up. But she barked for 300 yards, and the other dog never even opened up.
Wow.
But there was bad that went with it, too. I just don't think you can have it both ways. I think when you got a dog that can run like that, there's a downside to it, too.
Right.
But if you just go and you type in, do you subscribe to my videos?
I don't. I'm not that familiar with. I just looked on YouTube, and of course, I looked up rabbit hunting. Your videos come up, and I watched them. I think I watched them one night till 2 a.m. So it's pretty interesting.
If you go and watch one of my videos up in the left-hand corner, you can hit subscribe. I'd like for you to do that. Anybody listening?
I will. Sure.
And what it'll do every time I upload a video, it'll send you a link to it.
Okay.
And I think if you'll see our rabbit hunting videos, you'll see that we're a pretty relaxed group. There's 7 of us, all of us together. We hunt with 410 pistols.
Yeah.
And once you hunt with those pistols, you'll never hunt with anything else unless you're out to kill. If you're in it for the dogs, you'll never carry a shotgun again.
Right.
They're just a blast to hunt with.
It looked pretty interesting.
They shoot good. It's just I'm such a terrible shot. The one guy accuses me of shooting blanks all the time. But I'm actually holding the camera in my right hand and shooting with my left hand. I've used that excuse for so long. People say they're tired of hearing that. But we tell everybody the rabbit's got to be running fast when you shoot. And we just don't have a lot of rabbits. And we can't afford to kill many rabbits. So the pistols have just been, we just have a blast because a lot of times there'll be 3 or 4 of us lined up and a rabbit comes through and we don't even slow him down. So it makes a lot of entertainment and just a whole lot of fun. And that way you don't hurt your rabbit population either.
That's a very good idea. We thank the caller for getting in the queue and asking that question. That was a very good question. I know Mark.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys watching the videos also. I would just like to say pick the style dog you like because I run something or Antonio runs something. Don't get hung up on one style dog because we definitely all like different styles of dogs. And over the years, we've went through stages of what we like to run. We've run everything from super fast dogs to give dogs a chance. Try different styles of dogs if you don't know what you like. There's good dogs in every style of dog. Just pick quality dogs. Just because you run a slow dog or you run a fast dog doesn't determine whether the dogs are good or not. There's a lot of ways to run the rabbit. The idea is circle the rabbit with the least amount of checks and whatever works for you, whatever you enjoy the most. We love to follow dogs. I love to videotape. So I'm gonna own dogs that I can follow and stay behind. We like a dog that runs all the line that we can stay with and follow. Antonio probably likes a little stronger dog. Doesn't mean my dog's better than his or his dog's better than mine. It's just what we look for in a dog. So if you're just getting into the sport, try some different varieties of dog or go out with some other hunters. Watch their dogs run. Make up your own mind what you like. Not get on these boards where guys tell you this dog's trash or that dog's trash because he's slow or he's fast. That doesn't really have anything to do with a quality dog. Good dogs are good dogs. Don't let speed be the determining factor.
We wanted to give a special thanks to Antonio and a special thanks to Mark for joining us for the call, for taking the time to join us, of all the running and training that they do. We really appreciate it. Please log on to bensonskennel.com. Please log on to youtube.com/Benson's Kennel.